This was one of the best Heisman races we've had in quite some time, and the main reason for that is we didn't have a quarterback finish in top 2 of the voting. With this award pretty much becoming a quarterback award over the last couple of decades, it was a breath of fresh air seeing 2 non-quarterbacks competing for this trophy. Now, let me be the first to say, Travis Hunter had a phenomenal season. This was one of the better seasons we've seen in college football over the last couple of years. And I won't fault voters who put him number 1 on their Heisman ballot. But I do have to say, the best player in college football did not win the Heisman Trophy this season. Before we get to today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel, so make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. Again, let me just say, Travis Hunter had a phenomenal season. It's one of the better seasons we've seen in college football over the last couple of decades. What he did on offense, what he did on defense, I get it, it's insanely difficult. There's a reason why a lot of players don't do this. But he wasn't the best player in college football. The best player in college football in 2024 was Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty. Now, I know what a lot of people are saying, he's a running back at a group of 5 team, he plays for Boise State, who really cares what his numbers are? But I don't think many people realize that what we saw in 2024 was arguably the greatest season we've ever seen from a college football running back. What Travis Hunter did, we've seen done before. Now, granted, he was a great receiver, he was a great cornerback, but he wasn't the best in college football at either position. Now, I know certain awards might say that, but let's be real with ourselves, he wasn't the best cornerback in college football, and he wasn't the best wide receiver in college football. Ashton Jeanty was the best running back in college football, and there wasn't a close second at all. When you take a look at Ashton Jeanty's 2024 season, he's currently 4th all-time in rushing yards, and he's only 130 yards away from breaking Barry Sanders' all-time record. If I were to guess, he's going to surpass that in Boise State's playoff game. Now, although it looks like Ashton Jeanty is going to break Barry Sanders' record, this actually should have happened a couple of games ago. Ashton Jeanty only played in the first half against Portland State, where he ran for 130 yards. He also only played in the first half against Utah State, where he finished running for 185 yards with 3 rushing scores. He also barely played in the fourth quarter against San Diego State, Portland State, and Utah State game. That's essentially Ashton Jeanty missing 1 full game. If he had another game under his sleeve, he definitely would have already ran for 130 yards and would have already broken Barry Sanders' record. He probably would have had a couple more touchdowns as well, and he probably would have been second all-time in rushing scores at this point. I know we can't pick and choose numbers like that because we could do that with a lot of other players, but seriously, his season, which has already been historically good, could have been historically better. Ashton Jeanty had 6 games this season with at least 200 rushing yards, tied for the most ever in college football history. If he would have played just a couple of snaps in the second half of that Utah State game, he likely would have picked up 14 more yards, and he would have become the first player ever with 7 games of 200 rushing yards in one season. Well, Jeanty became the first player ever with 10 games of at least 150 rushing yards in a season. In 2024, Jeanty had 3 games with at least 200 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. No other power conference player had more than 1 game. His 29 rushing touchdowns are tied for the 6th most ever in a single season, just 4 away from second all time. If I were to guess, he's going to get a couple in Boise State's next playoff game, but like I said, him missing those second halves, he easily could have gotten a couple more and really gotten close to Barry Sanders' all-time record. Now, this stat is actually mind-blowing, and he came out and said this was the stat he was most proud of in 2024, but Ashton Jeanty had more rushing yards than 115 FBS teams. Now, just think about that for a second. Think about how many running backs college teams have, not to mention their quarterbacks running the ball, not to mention wide receivers running the ball every now and then. Jeanty had more than 115 FBS teams. I mean, that stat right there is absolutely insane. Earlier in the year, Jeanty had a game with 20 carries where he ran for 267 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. Over the last 25 years, he's only the second player in college football to have 250 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns on 20 or fewer carries. Jeanty also had 5 touchdowns that were at least 70 yards, tying LaDainian Tomlinson's record for the most in a single season in FBS history. There are 185 players with at least 300 carries in a season in college football history. Jeanty's 7.3 yards per carry are the 3rd best. So you listen to all those numbers, and that just backs the case that this is arguably the greatest season we've ever seen from a college football running back. Now, if you just take numbers out of the equation, something that I think should give Jeanty the edge over Travis Hunter is the fact that Jeanty literally put Boise State on his shoulders and he drove them to the college football playoff. I mean, at the beginning of the season, did anyone predict that Boise State would be a playoff team? game, let alone one of the 4 teams they would be getting a first round bye. Now I know I didn't, and I'm fairly certain most people didn't either, and Boise State can thank Jeanty for that. If you were to take Jeanty off this team, not only is Boise State not a playoff team, they're most likely not a top 25 team, and honestly, they're probably fighting for a bowl game. He was the reason Boise State won so many of their games. Now I know quarterback Maddox Madsen was great, Boise State had a solid offense, their defense was solid as well, but can you honestly tell me that without Jeanty, this team is a top 25 team in the nation? There's no way. If you took Travis Hunter off of Colorado, they would still be a really good team. Would they have finished the season winning 9 games? Probably not, but I think they probably would have won 7, maybe 8 games without him. I know that team success isn't the end-all be-all when looking at the Heisman Trophy, but it's something that we definitely need to take into account, and Ashton Jeanty put the team on his back, whereas Travis Hunter, he didn't necessarily put Colorado on his back. Ashton Jeanty also did it in the biggest games of the season. On the road at Oregon, he ran for 200 yards with 3 rushing touchdowns. Against Washington State, who ended up being a top 25 team at one point, he ran for 260 yards with 4 rushing scores. Then in the biggest game of the season, with the chance to go to the college football playoff, Ashton Jeanty ran for 200 yards with a rushing touchdown in the Mountain West title game. Ashton Jeanty did things we've never seen from a college football running back. He put his team on his back and led them to the college football playoff. That right there is deserving of winning the Heisman Trophy. Again, Travis Hunter had a phenomenal season. What he did on both sides of the ball is incredible. There's a reason most players in college football don't do that, but he wasn't the best receiver and he wasn't the best cornerback in college football. I don't care what people have to say, he simply wasn't. Just because you do 2 things well, that doesn't mean it should overshadow one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen in college football history. So shout out to all the voters out there who put Ashton Jeanty #1 on their Heisman ballot. You guys know ball. I think it just sucks that arguably the greatest season we've ever seen from a college football running back is not going to win him the Heisman Trophy. Also, one final gripe I have, the voting wasn't even close. It would have been one thing if the voting really came down to a couple ballots and almost half the voters would have had Jeanty as their Heisman winner. But the fact that it was a landslide and Jeanty didn't really stand a chance, that's actually crazy to me that he didn't do better among the voters. But also, a lot of these voters don't know ball because why is Arizona State running back Cam Skattebo 5th in voting? He should not have been 5th. He should have been a lot higher. But that's just my 2 cents with this whole thing. So what are your thoughts on the Heisman Trophy in 2024? Do you think the voters got it right? Do you think Travis Hunter was the right choice? Or do you think it should have gone to Ashton Jeanty? Whoever you think should have won, I would love to hear your pick and your reasoning in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos all off season long, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm, and it helps share this video and my channel with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all in my next video.